This is the start of constant, relentless, legal, peaceful protests and actions against our owners, the Glazers.
Okay.
We know the challenges ahead of us, and we will not waver or detract from these goals. So bring your colours, your banners, your flags, your flares. We need you. We need each other. We need everyone to put aside their differences. Some things are worth fighting for. Mm-hmm. And then they say that those involved will not attend the game until after 17 minutes past 3.
Okay.
A minute for each year the Glazers have been owners of United. This is just what Ranić and the rest of them don't need at the moment. A sideshow like this. But this could be considerable. It'll certainly be noticeable.
Maybe. Look, in this country that seems to be steeped neck deep in protests, why don't we have some more? Look, they what are they protesting against now? Fundamentally, the fact that the team isn't doing very well. They'll say that's an absolute outrage. It's not reflective of the situation. We've been saying it for a long time since they walked through the door. We loathe the way they bought the football club. They're nothing but corporate vultures over our football club. They don't understand the culture of Manchester United. They don't get it. We don't want them here. Okay, and that's your prerogative. What does that really achieve? Maybe they'll get downward pressure. Maybe someone will come along and stump up £4 billion. Because if Chelsea's going for £3 billion, you better believe that Man United are going to go for a lot more money than that.
Right.
So maybe they will orchestrate that, and maybe someone will come through the door and just be wonderful.
But they're trying
to
be
everything they want.
They're trying to make a noise. He's 1958.
Fine. And if the team
to invite somebody through the door.
If the team were winning, would this be being played out this way? They will again say, absolutely, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't get the fabric of Man United. I've seen the background. I've seen them see off the Sky bid in the mid-90s, early 90s, when they put together a very powerful lobby and a very influential set of supporters that turned Sky away when Sky were going to try and buy the football club, and they made sure that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
This is a different time now and a different set of circumstances.
It's different for Capillary, Simon. For the first time we're hearing, what they're saying is nothing will change until the head of the snake is removed.
Well, that's interesting language, and that's fine, and what they're basically saying is like the Hydra effect. If you don't cut the head of the snake off, it'll just grow again. I understand all that, but the bottom line is that they're going to have to be able to find somebody, or someone's going to have to come along, and the Glazers are going to have to be clear in their minds that there is a commercial disadvantage to their unpopularity. They've been unpopular for 16 years, haven't they?
Yeah.
And some of the unpopularity is justified, some of it isn't. If the team were doing better, some of this would be probably less potent. They will refute and dispute that, but it is primarily based upon the fact that the team's performance, alongside their outrage of the culture of buying a football club. This is how the world works. This is how business works. You might not like it, but football clubs are now businesses.
But you could argue this has worked, and this could work because it's worked in the past. Taking to the streets, well, from the fans' point of view, when we were entrenched in the Super League debacle,
that wasn't.
They took to the streets and they dismantled that.
You may think so. You might think so, and some of it was part of that.
It was a big part of it.
It was a part of it.
It was
a part of it. There was also the funding arrangements weren't quite as strong as people would have led you to believe behind the European Super League. But if they'd have had 15 billion rather than 5 billion, there might have been a different response from it.
Yeah, but Simon, for the first time, this is a call to arms.
Also, the people that were the weakest link in the European Super League were the Middle Eastern clubs, and the reasons why the European Super League was developed was because of the challenge of the Middle Eastern clubs, and they were the first ones to drop out to some extent and pull back. So it started to unwind from the get-go. Don't over-egg the pudding about how much of it was the fans. It was a part. It was an influential part. It was a media-driven part, but it wasn't the determining part. There were other factors as well.
Yeah, but I know, Simon, what message will this send if you have a substantial number of people heading to Old Trafford who have protested and won't take to their seats until 20 past 3.
Same message that people are going to...
The message goes out at exactly the same time.
Fantastic.
As our adversaries, Manchester City and Liverpool, are jousting at Wembley for a place in the FA Cup final.
But that's what it is. If Manchester United were winning games and operating at the top of the league, this would have less motivation, less potency, less engagement.
So
you know what? You're going to stop buying petrol. No, I'm not going to stop buying petrol and stop living in the world I do just because those Herberts from Just for Oil are going to block up my petrol stations. This will have an effect. Will it have an effect on the Glazers? Will it drive them into a perspective where we can't bear it anymore? Well, I think they've got alligator skin or alligator blood. I think they're quite resourceful in their thinking, and they don't live in this country.
But this fans group is arguing we are not competing at the moment. We're not being competitive because we're being held back by these people at the top.
But again, we go to the question. first and foremost, how much more money could they have spent without putting themselves in the way of potential financial fair play breaches? Because they're already operating at quite a high level of spend. I don't care about defending the Glazers. I couldn't care less who owns Manchester United. Right? I've got no skin in the game. I don't want to do the supporters down. The lifeblood of a football club are supporters. But they aren't the funding of a football club.
No, I know, but only yesterday, Simon, 24 hours ago, you said in this very studio that Manchester United needs a root and branch review.
Of course it does, but that's not the same thing as supporters.
Yeah, but it starts with the people at the top.
That's not the. Of course it does. That's people not doing their jobs properly, appointments not being made, but they haven't been done on the bloody cheap, have they? Let's get it right. Have they been nickel and diming it? Have they been making decisions that haven't cost them huge amounts of money? Have they been buying players or not buying players because they haven't been able to afford to come to the table? None of that has been the case. It's been mismanagement because they haven't made the right decisions.
Well,
we're all guilty of that
enough,
at times,
isn't it?
Yes,
that's enough. That's why they're hated.
So you don't make decisions
because they're mismanaging these people's football club.
So you make the wrong decisions, and ultimately that involves a fan protest about the decisions that you're making. Their motivation.
You told me before that Glazers don't give a damn about the football that United play. What they're interested in is profit, is money.
Well, yes, and that's the American ownership model, and that is the world that we live in sport.
So why should these fans welcome them?
If you want to pay players 50, I mean, this is not philanthropic stuff here. No, they shouldn't be welcome there if the fans don't like them. It's the fans' perspective, and I don't want to defend the Glazers just because I was an owner once upon a time. I look at it and say, okay, what are you going to change it to? What makes it better? Who's next? What do they look like? Was Martin Edwards brilliant? Was Lewis Edwards brilliant? Because I heard criticism of those guys back in the past. You look at it and say, if there was a better, more effective football team on the pitch, some of this would still exist, because I do accept that these guys have been vilified by the get-go. Then by that logic, I'm assuming Burnley fans are going to vilify Alan Pace and his crowd because they bought the football club in the same way that United have been bought by Glazers.
It's their prerogative.
And United, there is a unique perspective behind it. I get it. That I'm the one that makes the case.
You always say this is a top club.
I do.
This is the most revered club.
And that's the case I'm about to make. I'm not arguing that United should be treated like one of the pack, like every other football club, because it does have a unique feel. It does have a unique history. But it doesn't alter the reality of what does this actually achieve. If you believe it's going to achieve something, you're going to drive the Glazers out, then I would like to see, because the Glazers ain't going because you shout at them. They might go because someone pays them $5 billion. Now let's find out who's going to do that. Let's put them up. Let's have a look at what they're going to do. See how they're going to run a football club. See if they're going to fund it with debt.
I get that.
There ain't going to be, Jim. There is not going to be many people that are going to come in here and pay the Glazers £5 billion without debt associated. So you're going to jump from the Glazers to the next guy that's going to put debt involved, and are you going to be equally as offended by him when the team doesn't pull up trees, or it doesn't refit the stadium, or you listen to Gary Neville addressing the fans like he's addressing some bleeding union meeting and rolling out his manifesto?
But these fans are not sitting in their hands. They're trying to do something about it, and they shouldn't be faulted for that.
And that's their gift. And they have... I'm not faulting them. I'm saying if they want to do that, fine, let them do it.
But you're going to say it's going to make no difference.
Well, I don't think in the real world it'll make any difference. It's background noise. And if the team starts winning, again, what you'll have is a situation, and people are saying here you're wrong. Even when we're winning things, we're against the Glazers. Yeah. I know, I have accepted that. I have accepted that from the get-go. But I tell you what, it's made more pointed, it's made more poignant, it's made more potent when your team sucks, because you're going to have difficulty getting traction. If United were top of the league, doing what they'd done 20 years ago, there'd be a group of these people saying, we hate the great Glazers, we don't like the way they bought the football club, but it wouldn't be quite as acerbic, it wouldn't be quite as vociferous, because there'd be another group of players, people saying, hang on a second, we're winning leagues. We're top of the league. What is this achieving for anybody? The problem is, it's a perfect storm. The Glazers have made a Horlicks of the football club. They've made a Horlicks in terms of what Horlicks looks like. They're not going to get relegated, are they? They got relegated in 1974. That was a Horlicks. They're not going to do that.
We know that the 1958 Manchester United fans group are planning this protest, which will be considerable against the Glazers this weekend.
Fans so up in arms? The
Glazers, look at the messages you're getting, Simon. They're all against what you're saying.
The Glazers are just milking our club. What about these bleeding players that are milking it? What about these players that are getting paid £10-15 million a year, strolling around with a cigar on, doing absolutely bugger all for the football club? Why aren't they vilifying them?
The Glazers put the money down.
Sure, and they bought players, and most of the fans are going, I'll have Jadon Sancho, I'll have him, I'll have him too, Paul Pogba, Harry Maguire, he's a good, I'll have him as well. Now, they've got them, and these players are nicking a living off the football club, and part and parcel of the overall problem. Where's the vilification of them? Where's the equal vitriol towards the component parts that aren't helping the solution, are exacerbating the problem.
But the fans, quite rightly, Simon, go to where they think fundamentally the fault lies, and the fault lies in their eyes with the owners, who they say are mismanaging their football club. The club they've loved for many years.
If you're a Manchester United fan and you're sat there and you're watching Manchester City and Liverpool disappearing to the horizon, and you're sitting there watching your football club spending lots of money and getting precisely nowhere, where would you be? You'd be saying, well, this isn't bloody good enough.
Let's put it out there.
But the problem starts with the fact the team sucks.
Let's put it out there. Will this protest, we're told, one that will gather pace, it's the start of constant, relentless, legal and peaceful protests, will it make the blindest bit of difference? Will the Glazers, there's one message there, Simon. Let's be honest, Jim, the Glazers probably aren't even aware the protest is happening. It will have no effect. Is that really right? When we hear that those who are going to take part in the protests will not attend the match,
last chance saloon,
and take their seats until 17 minutes past 3 on Saturday, a minute for each year the Glazers have been the owners. Will it make the blindest bit of difference?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.